This is episode 36 of the TO SportsTalk podcast. I'm your host, James Price, along with Evan Brown. How's it going, buddy, on this beautiful Thursday afternoon?
And it is Christmas morning because guess who got fired?
Todd McClellan.
See ya! Got fired. Coach for 3 years for the Oilers. A little shocked, but at the same time, you have to look at his record with the Oilers, and, I mean, it wasn't working.
No, it really wasn't.
I think this was the fourth coach, and I think this was the fifth coach in like 6 years or 7 years for the Oilers.
They're a 500 hockey club.
It's still November, but at the same time, they made it to the second round once. Basically, they made the playoffs once in the last 13 years.
That's terrible. And they made that one playoff spot, and then they've missed last year. And
it was a horrendous year last year.
And as of right now, they're out of a playoff spot right now in November.
Are you blaming the coach or more so the players?
You got to put a little bit of both on it. I mean, the coach can only do so much. The players got to go out there and play. And talent-wise, they're all right.
They didn't really have any besides the first line, there wasn't a supporting cast.
They don't have the depth kind of guys. No. Like Milan Lucic hasn't been the guy that they
paid him to be.
Right. And that money is really coming back to bite them in the rear end right now.
And all these young guys, they can't do anything with Kylie or what's his last name? Yamamoto. Yeah. Jesse Puljujarvi
they're in the minors.
Yeah.
So these two, I mean, ideally Yamamoto just got drafted a couple of years ago, so I mean, you can't. It's hard to go after that. But
Jesse Puljujarvi is the fourth overall pick.
He was in the Austin Matthews draft. Put into perspective, Leaf fans. That's 3 years in the I guess in the NHL and AHL.
Mind you, he is 20, but I think they should send him up to the big leagues. Without Todd McClellan being there.
It's not working right now.
And the surprising part about this is that Ken Hitchcock. Now, question for you. He came out of retirement because he retired at the end of last year.
For St. Louis.
Was he an assistant? No, so he wasn't an assistant coach for the Oilers. So he just
got brought on to replace Todd McClellan.
And I think it's going to be like a 1 year type of thing. They're definitely not going to re-sign him for multiple years. We know that.
Right.
Now, Joe Quinn,
Unless it works and they run the table and they get into the playoffs and who knows what goes from there. But
I do believe this team, if they turn around and if Cam Talbot goes on an absolute hot streak, which he might, I think they will make the playoffs because they have. Listen, you have the best player in the world.
Yeah.
You have Leon Draisaitl. You have a serviceable goaltender in Cam Talbot. Obviously, you have no depth. You have injuries on your defense core. Andre Sekera, I think, is out for another month or two.
Their depth on the defensive end is either young, inexperienced, or just not very good.
It's not horrible. It's not bad. But to be honest,
their depth of defense, they have nothing. On the defensive end. Look, I mean, you can name guys, and if you've heard of them, you say they're all right. Look,
let's just go. Okay, so off the top of my head, they have Oscar Klefbom.
Okay.
They have Darnell Nurse, two pretty good defensemen.
Okay.
Right?
Are they good defensively? We know they can put the puck in the net.
Nurses. Klefbom, probably not so much. Right? Let's go to the Oilers if you can find them.
No, they played yesterday.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. They played in that overtime.
They have Chris Russell, who's a depth guy. Yeah, they're paying him so much money, but he's a serviceable guy, but not for the money he's being paid.
Matt Benning, Jason Garrison, Kevin Gravel, Adam Larson.
Adam Larson, that's another name.
And that's it.
Okay, so you got Larson, Norris, Russell, Klefbom, Garrison, and then I guess Matt Benning. Once Sekera comes back healthy, that would work wonders, but they don't have a really puck-moving defenseman. Oh, no, I know.
Cam Talbot has been horrendous.
Now,
5-8-1.
Koskinen, their backup, has looked okay.
Yeah, not bad, but I mean, can you really expect him to run the table? You don't really know. It's really hard to bet on him to get you going. Right?
I agree. Tom McClellan's been there for 3 years, and you kind of looking for the button for the chair.
Yeah, I felt like really low down there.
He did have
almost fell over, and I'm not used to this chair.
He did have a lot of time because 3 years is a lot, but.
Especially when you make the playoffs in the first year.
I think the next person gone is their GM. Peter Chiarelli has done absolutely nothing for this. They traded pretty much because I don't know if you guys have heard of this trade, but they traded for Ryan Spooner for Ryan Strome. Kind of an even deal, whatever.
Yeah, it's just a 1-for-1 to try and change
So you pretty much traded away Barzal. I think it was Barzal a third and Eberle for Ryan Spooner And I think like a pick or something.
That was a shock. Look, we know Eberle needed a change of scenery, but man, you didn't get much back. And you expected Ryan Strome to be that 50, 60-point guy where he was not.
And you're playing with McDavid.
And then you flip him for Ryan Spooner.
Yeah.
So that's rough.
Yeah, that is
So bottom
rough.
line, you got Ryan Spooner and...
well, technically,
if you got to do it all together.
Griffin Reinhart, but he got claimed in the expansion draft.
So
you got
whatever.
Exactly, but at the time, you didn't know how good Matt Barzal was going to be. I get it,
but it's hard when you trade a pick like that.
You don't know.
For a guy like Jordan Eberle.
No,
it was him and Eberle, wasn't it?
No, it was Eberle for Strome straight up,
right?
And it was I think Barzal it was Barzal in a second for Reinhardt in like a third or something.
That's terrible.
But at the time, they didn't know what they had in the 16th overall pick.
It's risky, man.
Oh, no, it is risky, especially for a guy like Griffin Reinhardt who had struggles. Obviously,
for the first, 2 or 3 years of his career at that point.
But he was still, I think, like 21, 22 at the time. So you can kind of see, but the Eberle for Strome trade, I didn't agree with it when it happened, and it looks terrible now. So Peter Chiarelli, and not to mention the Taylor Hall deal.
Yeah, for Adam Larsson. And I know Adam Larson's probably an all right defensive guy, but he does not take apart that Taylor Hall just won the Hart last year.
You traded a Hart Trophy winner for a second pairing defenseman, a top 4 defenseman.
Look, we know
he isn't offensive either.
And Leaf fans, what do you want for Nylander? I mean, Taylor Hall, an 80-point guy, been great so many years, had a contract, and they got Adam Larsson. What are we saying for William Nylander, a guy who hasn't hit 80 points, hasn't even hit 70 points yet, and doesn't have a contract?
All right, so let's just stay on the whole
I'm just trying to compare those two. And Leaf fans are all like, we want a forward, we want a top-notch defenseman, you want a pick.
Oh, no.
Look, guys, look what Edmonton got for Taylor Hall.
Well, mind you, that trade was bad when it happened, and Kyle Dubas is such a smart guy, so he wouldn't do that.
No, I don't know. I'm not. But
and a name that's been throwing out there would be Joe Quenneville. Now,
that'd be an interesting one because he kind of is an old school kind of coach, and bring him into the young kids. It might not be a bad fit.
Now, I don't get why the fans of the Oilers are being like, "Oh yeah, we should just get him." He has to accept the offer, and I don't think Joe Quenneville wants to go to a team that's in pretty much shambles.
No, I mean
management's all over the
place.
Plus,
he just left a team that he's been there for how many years? I mean, it's been ridiculous. Look, that was the dynasty team of the Chicago Blackhawks. He was a main part of that. He's going to take the rest of the year off here, and I don't think he'll be a coach this year. I can't see why. And then next year he'll probably sign with another team and start his new regime then.
See, I would say that, but from all of the coaches being fired, Mike Yeo, we'll talk about that, or Yeo, or however you pronounce his last name, we'll talk about that later. But I see, part of me thinks that he will get a job because someone's going to hire him like that. But it's up to him if he wants to be a coach this year, and I think he still does.
I don't know about this year. You just got removed from a very hard, like your team.
The offer has to be there, and the money will be there, so that's up to him. But I'm loving this because Oiler fans are. I don't understand Oiler fans because the Flames fans, for example, they're great. I have no problem with Flames fans on Twitter, just in general. I really don't. Oiler fans, I don't know.
And I'll let you kind of go off on this. So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by they're not, like, you don't like Oiler fans?
Well, just to say that, what is the difference between that? I don't even know how far Calgary is from Edmonton.
It's not far, really.
What's going on in that span of stretch between those two cities? I don't know.
But what makes
the whole thing about McDavid? Oh, McDavid better than, or not, a Toronto biased here. At least net this. Haven't won anything since 1967, and we won 4 cups in the 80s. And it's like, listen, we understand that, Edmonton. We understand how good you were in the 80s.
You sound like Montreal talking about the past. Really.
To be honest, I think they're worse than Montreal when it comes to this. Like, they are bad.
I think we don't see them enough to get like a rivalry against them. So, I mean, I think if we did, then we'd be able to see this thing in full effect, but we're never going to.
On Twitter, they're horrendous. Their media is always, I don't know, because there are good fans out there from the Oilers. Yeah, we understand
same with every fan base, absolutely.
But especially because, again, with Flames fans, I have no problem with them at all. no problem. But with Oilers fans, they'll talk about the dynasty this, we're hiring former, and the amount of former players they hire Wayne Gretzky for the president of something. I think they hired Mark Messier. It's like,
look, it's a great media thing, but is it going to help your team?
It's not
Actually,
a boys.
It's hard.
It's a boys' club. It is a boys' club mentality, and you want that? No. Have the Leafs hired any former players? No, I don't think so. Have they?
I don't.
No. Matt Sundin, no. Gilmore, no. Well, any players that stand out? No. Wendell Clark, no. Gilmore, no. Sittler, no. I don't know, and I don't think this helps that Craig McTavish, I think, is still in the organization.
Yeah.
That's a joke. Daryl Cates I think he's the president. He's a joke.
You good now?
Yeah, but this is like Christmas morning to me.
The thing is, though, and I want to mention something, because you were asking, you were saying it was a little premature on the firing of Coach Todd McLellan, and I understand.
A little bit.
So just hear me out. Hear me out. And I do agree with you in that sense. Look, guys, you can only blame the coach so much. Look at the San Jose Sharks back when they were really good. Who was their head coach? Todd McLellan. He goes to Edmonton. They make the playoffs for his first year. They're all like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. This guy's amazing. They miss the playoffs the next 2 years with pretty much the same team in a sense, except for Taylor Hall.
Yeah. I see. I think coaches.
So really, is it really Todd McLellan's fault? He's trying to make things work. The reason this team is no good, look how good Cam Talbot was in that first year. Mm-hmm. How bad has he been the last year and a few months?
He hasn't been consistent.
He's been terrible.
Yeah.
Goals against a 3.3 and a save percentage of 8.88. That is horrendous.
Yeah, that's bad. And you can't... Goalies are like coaches, where they win a Vezina or two, you think they're great, but they drop off hard. Same thing with coaches. They win the Jack Adams Award. Oh, great. Some drop off hard. Look at Todd McLellan. And like I said, goaltenders do this all the time. So... it depends who the Oilers hire, but at this point, I agree with it in a sense where they needed a change, but I think they fired the wrong guy.
Todd McLellan was not the problem. He was not the problem. How can you go from a team like San Jose where you make the playoffs every single season, and then in your first year, you make the playoffs with a team who hadn't made the playoffs in like 8-9 years, and then... and then you miss the playoffs the next season.
Oh, no,
I agree. An abysmal start to this year.
Coaches can't make miracles happen.
I mean, look, Oiler fans. Everyone blaming Todd McLellan. He can't make Milan Lucic score goals.
No.
He can't do it.
No, and this is what McDavid said in the presser. This is on us. And it is on you guys. Not really on McDavid, Draisaitl.
The players got him fired. I think that's the way it is.
Agreed.
Right there.
Agreed. And I think that Peter Chiarelli is in the hot seat. I'm shocked that he didn't get fired before the coach did. His time, they're giving McDavid nothing. If you were smart about it, Oilers, like
Montreal is wasting the prime of Carey Price, and ideally Connor McDavid's a lot younger than Carey Price, obviously. But look, that contract is kicking in now, and plus, he is we're wasting his talent.
We compare the Oilers to other Canadian teams. Look what Montreal did in the offseason. Risky moves. They're paying off now. Marc Bergevin kind of looked like an idiot at the time. They're paying off. What did the Oilers do in the offseason? They got a backup goalie, Mikko Koskinen. All right, well, that's not bad now.
He's had a pretty good start to the season. But it's like, what, 6 games?
But still, so far, it's a good signing. They got Tobias Rieder, Kyle Brodziak. I think they got one more guy, but that's nothing.
What's Kyle Brodziak going to bring your... Well, garbage truck's going by. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But what can Kyle Brodziak actually bring to that team? Nothing at all. What was the other guy you said?
Tobias Rieder. He could have brought something. He's like a third-line winger. You need at least a second-line winger for Leon Draisaitl.
The Leafs wanted to go out big and build a gigantic defense or center core. So what do? They go out there and sign John Tavares. Then they sign the depth after that. Look, you're telling me Edmonton... I'm not saying John Tavares would have gone to Edmonton. I'm just saying somebody of even remotely close to that magnitude. You get somebody big to jolt your locker room, to fire them all up. Then you sign some depth guys like the Leafs did with Tyler Ennis, who has paid off immensely so far this year. I've loved the looks of him. And then you get Ozhiganov, who hasn't been bad, right? It's the depth signings mixed with the big ones that really show you. I mean, ideally, if Tavares didn't sign, Nylander would probably be here right now. But That's just this
And
scenario.
they are not playing any of their young guys. They're moving guys around so much in the lineup, right? Like, put Yamamoto with McDavid for more than 5 games. He's gonna get his groove. Put Jesse Puljujarvi on the top line for more than a game or two. They put him on the top line for a game, and then they just drop him down to the third, second, even fourth line, and then he was a healthy scratch.
How can you find consistency like that? You just can't. No. And the pressure you feel, the really awkward, if I don't play well here, I'm done kind of thing, is probably in their head. Oh. You look at a guy like Andreas Johnsson for the Leafs. He plays one game, but he doesn't score a goal, but he plays some hard hockey. He gets in there for the next one. And look at him now. When was the last time he sat a game? It's been a while.
Oh, yeah.
And look at the third and fourth line for the Leafs. They're gaining chemistry, and damn well they're looking good out there.
See, the difference with the Leafs scratching players is that we had too many wingers. The Oilers should not have scratched Jesse Puljujarvi at all. And it's not like he's a bad player. He's a great player. And it's not like he's a bust because, and I'm not calling him a bust, but it's not like he's considered right now by fans as a bust because he's a poor player. He's a great player. You're just mismanaging him.
Yep. And it wouldn't surprise me if they move him at some point because they'll think he's not,
and then he lights it up with another team.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't either. It wouldn't either.
The other thing I wanted to discuss. Oh, where was it? Right. I saw a tweet on Twitter and everything. Edmonton Oilers fans, you better pray to God that Connor McDavid does not get hurt at any point in the season. Yeah. The moment he does, Tank Nation, here we come. Because Jack Hughes, here we come. Because really, I mean...
Mind you, the center core isn't bad, but I hear you. When you lose your best player...
But he is their entire team. Oh, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that 4-3 win in overtime against San Jose. How many assists did McDavid had? Well, he scored the first goal. Oh, look at that. Nugent Hopkins scored the second one. McDavid had assists on the tying goal. And then he scored. And then he had assists on the overtime goal. Yeah. He's not on the ice. They don't get much going.
No, they don't. And for him... Like you say, when we lose Austin Matthews, sure, any team would struggle.
The Leafs are over 500 without Austin Matthews for like 2 games over.
Look at when Crosby missed 3 games. Well, mind you, the Penguins were terrible with him in the lineup, but when they lost him, they struggled. I get it. Because Edmonton, like you say, cannot afford any... You know what's sad?
Let's go... Sorry, I just want to go on to okay. You were talking about Austin Matthews when the Leafs when he got hurt. Let's count the game where he got hurt because the Leafs were trailing in that game against Winnipeg at home. They won that game 3-2. Right. Then they lose to Calgary and lose to Dallas, so they're 1-2. Then you beat Pittsburgh, beat Vegas, beat New Jersey.
That's 5-2.
You're 4-3.
Oh, 4-3.
Or sorry,
5-2.
Yeah, 5-2. Excuse me. Is it 5-2? 4-2. Yeah, 4-2 in that, and then you lose to Boston. You're 4-3. You're still over 500 without Austin Matthews. Then they win 4 in a row. So what are they now?
So you're 8-4. Because we just lost last night
against Carolina. 8-4 without Austin Matthews because they have the depth. They went out there and built on what they already have so that they could afford. Look, this is all without William Nylander and Austin Matthews.
And John Tavares is stepping up. And again, with the Oilers, I think they got to clean house for management. They don't need to go on a full-on rebuild. They need a clean house management, and they need to really think about actually giving their prospects a chance.
So let's sit here and compare the Leafs and the Oilers for a second here. Freddie Anderson in net. Well, he's a million times better than Cam Talbot, so let's just go from that. Defense core. Well, points-wise, if you want to go off of that, the Leafs have about, 3 guys that probably have more than most of their defensemen.
Well, see, I don't really like comparing both teams because both teams are on a separate sector when it comes to this.
Both teams want to be competitive for the Cup. Both teams were in the playoffs in that year when they made their playoffs.
Well, I think the Oilers would be just happy if they make the playoffs, and I don't doubt that for one bit.
But I'm just trying to say that look at the Leafs' depth.
Yeah.
Look at the way they have on the defense core. That they have depth that they can throw guys in there if they need to. And their goalie is a lot better than Cam Talbot. So
exactly.
It starts from the net out. It really does. Look, you can have a great center core. You can have a great defense core. You don't have a good goalie, you're going nowhere.
Pretty much. The St. Louis Blues, for example, going on to them, they have... I still don't understand how they're doing so bad. Yes, goaltending's goaltending, but they have an unbelievable defense core. Well, I shouldn't say unbelievable, but they have a good defense core. If they can't keep the puck out of the net,
you're never going to...
Jake Allen's looked horrendous this year.
Look at Carey Price. When Carey Price was so good years ago, Montreal was top of the division almost all the time because he was Carey Price,
when he went
even though they couldn't score. They were still top of the division because of who he was, and they had a half decent defense core back then too. But now you look at them, and Montreal has they're now 4-4-2 in their last 10 games, so they've kind of slipped a little bit here.
They just lost 5-2 last night to the Devils, but at the same time, they're surprising the heck out of me and you.
No, I didn't expect this right now early
especially
in the season,
from Max Domi.
Again, mid-November.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't be Montreal fans start chirping everybody. It's kind of hard to do that.
Okay, so the second coach firing would be Mike Yeo.
Yeah.
He called this actually I think this was 5 or 10 games into the season. He's like, my job should be in jeopardy. Now that was a bit premature, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That was a bit premature, but at the same time...
I don't know if that was the thing that might have tried to light the fire underneath the players to keep them around kind of thing, to play better. I don't know, but...
Yeah, I don't know about that, but at the same time, they're not good. They're last in the West.
They're pretty and they beat the Leafs.
Yeah. They can't score or they can't keep the puck out of the net. The only good player on that team would be...
So the LA Kings are last, but they're second last at 7-10-3. They've lost 3 straight.
Actually, just go to their team for a sec. Oh.
LA or St. Louis?
St. Louis. Just go to their team for a sec.
Injuries. Wow, that's a lot of injuries.
Jaden Schwartz is out, Alex Steen's out, Pat Maroon's out, and that's about it. It's obviously goaltending. I think this move...
Jake Allen's stats are very comparable to Cam Talbot.
See, this is my dark horse for where Joe Quenneville would go to. This team can go on a cup run if Jake Allen gets his head out of his butt and
Chad Johnson's playing the better hockey. So, I mean, it
doesn't
really mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. But you have a serviceable backup in Chad Johnson, who's not bad. You have a great defense core. You have a great top 2 lines, but I think it's just depth scoring for them, and I don't understand why. Listen, you got back Robbie Fabry from 2 years of being completely injured all the time.
That's hard for him.
Your top line, mind you, Alex Steen is injured. So you have Tarasenko, O'Reilly, and...
That right there, those 2 punches are damn good.
Braden Shen, I don't know, there's probably somebody else, if you just want to go. But they have good scoring, they have great defense, and they're all locked up. I don't think anybody's a free agent for them this year.
I think
J-Bo.
They have Tyler Bozak.
How's
he even doing this year for them? 11 points in 20 games. He's having a
overpaid, but you know what? You kind of expect that. O'Reilly, David
Perron, and Nikita Soshnikov. How's he doing over there? 5 points, no point. 5 games, no points.
That's more like him. Tarasenko,
and then Robert Thomas, the young one. How is he? 19 years old.
Depth scoring
5 points in 16 games.
Is an issue, but I didn't think that they'd be this bad.
I mean, look, it's so hard, especially with guys on the point. Like, the defense core is not bad at all. You got Pietrangelo, you got Colton Parayko, Jay Bouwmeester, but I don't even know if Jay Bouwmeester... I feel like he's falling off. He's 35 years old
He's
now.
Obviously falling off, but at the same time, you kind of expect that. Vince Dunn's having a pretty good year.
8 points in 18 games, 3 goals. But, I mean, he's only 22 years old.
Well, there you go.
You look at Colton Parayko's fairly young. Is this Jordan Schmaltz?
First rounder, I think.
Was he a former first-round pick? First round 25th. He's 25, though. I don't know. I look, St. Louis, they're not, like you said, Alex Steen.
Surprised.
Alex Steen has always been a good player for them. 10 points in 16 games before he got hurt.
That's a huge injury.
That's a big loss. That's a huge loss. Jaden Schwartz, as much as he's injured almost all the time, he had 9 points in 15 games when he wasn't. So that's another big injury there for them. And then Pat Maroon, 7 points.
That's a big injury, too. That's an underrated injury for them. But
so those are 3 half-decently sized injuries.
And this coaching firing, I kind of agree with. Because you have to change something up.
I mean, look, he's not a guy that has proved in the past that he is a damn good coach.
He was the head coach for the Wild, I think, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah,
he was in the Wild, something like that.
And
then obviously the Wild is like a first-round exit team. You go to St. Louis for, I think this is his 3rd year? I don't know.
It could be a 2nd or 3rd year.
Obviously, they missed the playoffs last year by I think half a point or 1 point.
Half a point? How's that possible?
It was close.
Half a point.
It was close because
they had a tie in overtime or something.
It was the Avalanche who just kept winning, right? So
Nathan McKinnon, my goodness,
and Rantanen.
Yeah, exactly. That line is incredible.
So this one I kind of agree with, and I think Joe Quenneville may go to
their
rival.
That is a possibility.
Because listen, Stan Bowman fired Quenneville, obviously, and obviously the St. Louis Blues are rivals with the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
so
same division. So, and they
maybe
played each
you
other in the
want-
playoffs many times. So
And St. Louis has been on many of the short end of the stick.
yeah, many times.
Same thing like Minnesota facing the Blackhawks, always losing. Yeah. Okay, so going to the Leafs now because we kind of went around the league. Huge.
So bottom line, they go on the West Coast road trip and they sweep it for the first time since 1995.
Me and you weren't even born.
No, we're both 96 babies. That's
Almost 97. For you?
December birthday, but don't let me think that way. Look, those teams are not as daunting as they once were. San Jose is still a very good team.
The other two are a bit.
LA is terrible. They're bottom in the NHL, and the Leafs pretty much proved that as they crushed them 5-1 and made them look silly. Now, ideally, they didn't have Jack Campbell. They didn't have Jonathan Quick, obviously, so they have Peter Budaj in there, which
They're slow. And then
they're an old time hockey team. They're a hockey team of a few years ago when it wasn't just speed. It was skill, size, and being able to play good on the puck. But,
well, I mean, mind you, when they were good, like I said in 2014-15, a lot of their players were faster back then. Jeff Carter,
yeah, well, they're all getting up there.
Andre Kopitar, and then they made out a trade, traded away Tanner Pearson for Carl Hagelin. They got faster, but they got older.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting scenario when it comes to that. But the Kings, they're not as they once were. The Anaheim Ducks are
kind of a middling team.
They are really. They're not rebuilding, but they're kind of retooling as they go. Man, this garbage truck is a real pain in the rear end.
Well, if you stop mentioning it, maybe it would be quieter.
I don't think so because you can hear it screeching all down the street here. But it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, the Anaheim Ducks, they have a great goalie, young goalie in John Gibson. They have some great-looking young players, Rickard Rakell, Hampus Lindholm, guys like that.
With Corey Perry being out.
And Cam Fowler, but he was hurt as well when the Leafs faced him. Look, with Corey, but
they're going to fall off a cliff, though, in my opinion.
They will at some point. They're going to lose Perry. They're going to lose Getzlaf at some point.
But for right now, I think they're good, and they could make a wild card, but I wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs. The Ducks.
Yeah. I don't know. The way the West is, it might be kind of tough for them to get into that playoff spot. But you look at the Western Conference, like you look at that, you look at that West Coast trip, and it's not as good as it once was. But the Leafs, they sweep.
Their division is terrible. The Pacific Division is awful.
And guys, you look at, don't say, oh, the teams aren't good. The Leafs should have swept them. First off, San Jose is a pretty good team. Second of all, they just lost to Carolina last night.
I think
the Leafs have been cursed in Carolina. Am I right? Like I said in the video yesterday, aren't they cursed against the Carolina Hurricanes like they were the Buffalo Sabres back in the day?
I think, yes, and I think it's just going back to the West Coast road trip. I think it's just the actual travel. Listen, you're flying from Toronto all the way to California, and you're spending 3 days there, or what, like a week there, or something like that, or like half a week, whatever. It's gonna daunt on you, like that's tough.
And plus, I think I don't know if it's between. I think San Jose and Anaheim is like half an hour time difference, because the Leafs started that game at 10 o'clock against Anaheim, or they started at 10:30 against San Jose.
It's all Pacific time.
Okay, well that's what I thought I heard. I thought I heard that it was half an hour difference.
Well, difference as in like games. But well, they all run with the same clock.
Yeah, half an hour game time difference. I mean, it's hard to adjust to all that kind of stuff.
It is. Okay, so they swept the West Coast road trip. Great, unbelievable since '95. Then they go
without Austin
Matthews, and then after that, who they face?
They came home. They faced Columbus. I was at the game, and they came back from down 2-0.
And that's another game, first game since 2013 without a penalty for both teams.
And the crazy part is the crazy stat was that in that Carolina game, the Leafs didn't take a penalty in the first two periods. Yes,
I'm talking about. Okay,
I know.
Let's just say Columbus.
I'm going on this game. So you said they didn't have a penalty in that game. Agreed. Neither team had a penalty in that game. And then you go to the Carolina game. The Leafs didn't have a penalty in the first two periods. If the Leafs did not get a penalty in that third period, it would have been the first time the Leafs have done that 2 games in a row without a penalty since 1945.
And
ideally,
didn't even track the stat back then.
Andreas Janssen took the penalty, which led to the third goal.
Off the team.
Which pretty much is the game-winning goal at that point.
Trade him.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah, Oiler fans, let's trade him.
Yeah, trade him for Jesse Pugliarvi. Actually, I don't even know if I'll do that.
It's risky. I don't know.
But, so going to the Leafs last night, struggled against Carolina. Both
they struggled out of the gate.
Against Columbus, too. But with Columbus, it's funny, because I would hate to face the Blue Jackets in the playoffs. They are a pesky team.
It's easier to come back from 2-0 at home than it is on the road.
Mind you, you're in Carolina, but they're an okay team this year. I saw a lot of fans. Well, mind you, ticket prices are like $30 for like front row seats.
Well, why not?
But did Mitch Marner look off to you in that game?
He did. He really did.
Players obviously have off nights, but with Austin Matthews being out, with Nylander being out,
and of course you can't forget to talk about Curtis McElhinney.
Yeah.
Getting the win against Farm. I think we all saw this coming, though. You see the game that day. The Leafs had won 4 straight games. They go to Carolina. They're facing their old backup goalie, who we all know and love, and still believe he should be on this team.
Ex-Leaf players haunt the Leafs. Look at Peter Holland when he got traded to the
Jonathan
Coyotes. Bernier. When Holland was on the Coyotes, he scored the shootout winner. Like it's just the Leafs. Like, look at Alex Steen, how good he's doing.
Yeah. They really, I mean, it's the way that it happens for the Leafs. But you know what? Good for Curtis McElhinney. I mean,
the big Mac
that guy
himself.
Did everything he possibly could for the Leafs, and the Leafs just basically snubbed their nose at him.
So going to goalie situation, because me and you talked about this a lot. How's Garrett Sparks in your book now?
Well, he played one good game, so relax. It's
good.
One game,
but hey,
he plays Saturday against Philly.
You got to give him
credit.
credit
Again.
You got to give him credit though.
Yeah, he played a good game. He was floppy all over the place. He also got helped by 2 of his own defensemen blocking wide open shots.
But he had close to 40 saves. He had like 30.
It could have been a lot. Like, listen to yourself. Jake Gardner saved. Sparks is way out of the net.
Yeah. Not
positionally good. Wide open net for their guy, and he rifles it off Jake Gardner's leg. Why? Because he's playing goaltender. Yeah. Nikita Zaitsev, he's facing Garrett Sparks and hits the back of his leg when it's going in the back of the net. They score those 2 goals, the Leafs lose that game. Two of his defensemen saved goals for him. You can't expect that on a gamely basis.
I bet there's been many opportunities where Freddie was either maybe put. Well,
how many times do you see players make saves?
No, a lot, quite a bit.
When was the last time? Really? Well, I'm talking about for Freddie Anderson.
Oh, for Freddie Anderson, but I'm not comparing both players.
He didn't play bad. When the Leafs needed him to make a save, he, for the most part, did.
So he's playing against Philly.
He got help. Well, it's a back-to-back, second half of a back-to-back. Yeah. They play Columbus Friday night in Columbus, and they come home to take Philly. So he's going to be playing a good offense. So you gotta come to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And Anaheim Ducks are a team that's not very good.
No.
So okay, I'm still not sold on Garrett Sparks. Yeah. He got a win. Statistically, he looked good. But in the game, still nervous as hell when he's in the net.
So the next game we face would be
Columbus tomorrow night.
Columbus and then Philly.
Yeah, Columbus tomorrow night on Friday, and then back at home.
A home and home against. Well, not really home and home, but against Columbus. So we face them on the road.
Yeah, we play on the road to Columbus tomorrow night, and then Philly home for Philly on Saturday night for Hockey Night Canada.
So I guess we shall see if Garrett Sparks. Now, quickly moving to a team that me and you rip on a lot. The Buffalo Sabres. Let's talk about this a little bit.
They've been good. You got to give them credit.
They finally are breaking out of that shell, and the one player, Jeff Skinner.
About damn time. Since his unbelievable rookie season, he can't stay consistent. But my question to you: 14-6-2 are the Buffalo Sabres. The Leafs are 15-7.
Last time the Buffalo Sabres were that good when they had, not really washed up Jason Pominville, but you can't really say he's washed up now because he's playing good. Okay, but a younger Jason Pominville, Chris Drury, you had Ruslan Fedotenko, I think, was on that team.
Oh boy, that's a name of the past.
I know. Brian Miller. No.
Wasn't Brian Gianta a good one?
No, Brian Gianta was on the Canadiens.
He was on Buffalo. He was the captain of the Buffalo Sabres.
When they were crap.
That was the Buffalo Sabres.
That was the Buffalo Sabres. But no, Buffalo. But my question to you: when has Jeff Skinner ever played with a superstar?
He really hasn't. He hasn't.
No. Eric Stahl?
15 goals, 23 points for Jeff Skinner in 22 games. He's having
the only player I can think of would be Eric Stahl, but I mean, really, was he a quote-unquote superstar? No. Listen, you're playing with Jack Eichel. That's a superstar.
Rasmus Dahlin, 11 points in 22 games. He's had a very good start to his career.
And they have 3 first-rounders this year. Did you know that?
3.
They have their own, they have San Jose's, and they have St. Louis's.
Oh, and St. Louis's could be juicy.
But that's lottery protected.
Oh, okay. So
but they have San Jose, which is a late 20th, but it's still a first rounder. And I think the first rounder for St. Louis, they can swap it. If it's lottery, they can swap it for next year's first. Which
no matter if it's lottery protected or not next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. So 3 first rounders, but the one thing is that Jeff Skinner's contract's up, and he's asking a lot.
Well, he will be. He's at 15 goals already in 22 games. It's ridiculous.
Do it multiple times, though. I get Jeff Skinner's consistent 25, 30 goal guy, but not this good.
I know that, but look, you put up a big year. They're going to have to pay him.
Yeah, they will. I mean, or maybe sell extremely high on him. You know? But at this point, why would Buffalo give up goal scoring, which they haven't had in years?
They have a chance to make the playoffs for the first time in basically forever. Why would you trade that away?
Yeah, since I think 09. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough situation, but congrats to the Buffalo Sabres. We haven't really talked about them a lot on this podcast, and why would we being Leafs fans, but hats off to them, and hopefully they can make the playoffs, because I want to see a Buffalo-Toronto rivalry.
That would be a doozy of a first round. Holy smokes.
Fist will be flying.
It's what, like 3 hours difference when it comes to travel time?
No. Oh, wait, travel time as in...
Like from here to Buffalo.
They are the closest team. They are closer to us than we are to Ottawa.
Yeah. It's 3 hours, basically.
In Ottawa, I think it's like 4.
4 or 5 hours.
Actually, no, I think Buffalo's like 2.5. Or no,
depending on the traffic and the border and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Border Patrol. Yeah, so, again, congrats to the Buffalo Sabres for finally doing something.
Now, the last thing, when it comes to the Leafs, do you want to touch on Nylander at all? Maybe briefly here?
Let's do it briefly because there was some news about the Leafs open to sitting him if a deal doesn't get done by December 1st.
What did I say in the last podcast?
No, and
I mean, really.
Yeah, and I think listen, teams are lowballing Leafs. We all know that. So why would you be pressured into taking a deal just to get William Nylander off your hands? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes no sense whatsoever.
If you can't get a deal done, which I don't think it is November 20th, 22nd. So yeah.
Next podcast, guys, if we're going to be doing it on the same Thursday, it'll be the 29th. Yeah. So it'll only be a couple days away. So
that's it. I want to get into it because last podcast we had a big segment. So let's kind of end it off.
Well, we were hearing Brett Pesce is a big name that was flowing around there for Nylander, but I don't think it. Honestly,
Brett Pesce, Matt Dumba.
I think it's either a deal is done or he'll be sitting. That's what I feel is going to be happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that's smart, and you can get a deal done.
Let's go to the hard court now.
The hardwood. And, hardcore.
Okay,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where we started. God dang it. But the Toronto Raptors, and I really want to talk about these guys, because let's go back down to, a week or so ago. They faced the Celtics. And... well, really, before these 3 road games that they've been on, they've been struggling shooting the basketball.
Okay, now what did I say? I said you should rest Kawhi against the Bulls if you win against the Celtics. If you lose, you play him with Chicago. Did he play against the Bulls?
No, he hasn't played a back-to-back yet.
I'm surprised because we lost in overtime, heartbreaking loss against the Boston Celtics. And
now, okay, question I have for you. Are you worried that in back-to-back games Kawhi Leonard missed a buzzer beater? I can't say he missed the first one. He dribbled it off his own foot, and then they scored a shot at the buzzer. But he had the last second shot for the Raptors in that moment, and he bounced one off his foot once, and then he missed the jumper against the Celtics to force it into overtime. And at that point, it was pretty much over because of the momentum.
Was a little bit, but was he ever looked upon as a clutch guy? No.
You know what? The way he plays, I don't think he feels the pressure. Look, you know what? We also got to realize that he's only played like 12, 13 games.
I've said this since day one. He's not looked upon as a sharp shooting guy. You look to pass the ball. Yes, he's your best player. I understand that. You look to give the ball to a shooter who can make it. Like it's he's looked upon as the best two-way player in the league. He's not looked upon as a guy you pass the ball to get the last shot and to make it.
Well, I mean, you just said sharpshooter, so...
And plus, Raptors...
What happens, so they play who did they play in the first game? Oh, it was the Bulls, and they beat them. Then you play Orlando. Tight game. Who takes that last shot?
Danny Green.
Sharpshooter.
And, yeah.
And he makes the shot.
But...
Ideally, you're not going to look for Danny Green every single game to make that shot. But you're going to give it to Kawhi for the most part. You're going to give him that chance.
You're going to give it to Kawhi to try to drive to the lane. But I think the Raptors are experimenting, and you want to experiment with Kawhi being, all right, Kawhi, we're going to put the ball in your hands for the last shot in a regular season game. Don't try to experiment with this in a playoff game. I'm happy what the Raptors are doing in the regular season, maybe just not against Boston. But mind you, you're experimenting. You were down. You obviously gave it to Kawhi. Didn't make the shot. But life moves on.
And since that loss, I know they were playing teams that they should beat, but you win 3 in a row.
So
now, the test for the Toronto Raptors, though, is coming up. Yeah. These 3 games that they have played against down-to-crap teams... Okay, the Magic are having a good start to the year at 9-9.
They're iffy, but yeah.
But their schedule, the Raptors' schedule coming up is difficult through the entire month of December.
Let's hear it.
Okay, well, to end off the month of November, you've got Washington at home, and I don't care what the record suggests. They're still the Wizards. They still have John Wall and Bradley Beal.
For now.
For now, they still have John Wall and Bradley Beal, so that you can't take them lightly.
No.
Then you play Miami at home, and they're always a pesky team.
Yeah, they are a pesky team.
Memphis, and they're 11-5 are the Memphis Grizzlies, I think.
Shocked.
Or 12-5, excuse me. They won yesterday. Then you got Golden State at home.
Struggling, but
in Cleveland, so that's a winnable game. Home for Denver, home for Philly, road for Brooklyn, which I mean Brooklyn is not a great team, but you're playing in Brooklyn, so it might be a little bit of a tricky one there. Yeah. Home for Milwaukee, in LA taking on the Clippers, in Golden State, in Portland, in Denver, home for Indiana. I mean, those are not.
The only teams I can think of that are below 500 would be the
Brooklyn Nets and Cleveland Cavaliers.
And that's it. Mind you, you're facing both those teams on the road, but still.
And Washington and Miami, but I mean.
Yeah. I no, it's definitely going to be a hard test for the Raptors.
And Raptor fans, that whole stretch that I just talked about. Oh, by the way, after the Indiana game, they face Cleveland at home. Then they go to Philly.
Yeah. So
that's a tough stretch, and then you got Miami.
Mind you, you're looking 15 games down the list.
No, I mean, look, it's December 22nd is that game in Philly. So from now until then, the games are going to get difficult.
The games are going to get difficult.
You play all your
teams are going to be more
play all
scrappy.
your Golden State games in the next month,
which is a good thing.
You play them twice in 3 weeks,
which is a good thing because
on my birthday on December 12th they face Golden State in Golden State.
Okay, can I speak?
Yes,
I think this is good that they're getting rid of these teams in a bunch because you don't want it to drag out. Mind you, though, Kawhi needs the rest, and all the starters need rest. Obviously, in these games, some of these games are going to be back to back.
I would assume so.
So that makes it worse being back to back and sitting starters against teams that are tough already enough. But with Kawhi sort of struggling, yes, you want to say something?
Yeah. So when I went to the at Clippers at Golden State, that's a back to back. You play in LA taking on the Clippers, then you go to Golden State on the second half of a back to back.
And LA Clippers are actually doing not bad.
Will Kawhi play that game? Is my question. Against Golden State in Golden State on the second half of a back-to-back.
Personally, I think it all depends how we play against because we face the Clippers first, right?
Yes.
So if we beat the Clippers, I think he rests against the Lakers. Or no, wait, it's Clippers and then who?
Golden State.
Oh, Golden State.
I think you want to play him against the best team. That's what I personally think they should do. Honestly, I think if you're going to sit him for all these back-to-backs, if I'm not mistaken, that game, that back-to-back is the next one for the Raptors, and that is December 11th and the 12th. Yeah. So,
okay. Enough with the schedule here.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about Kawhi, but see, it seems like we're playing better without Kawhi, which is quite weird, but at the same time, listen,
look at the two teams you faced.
Listen, when playoffs come, you need Kawhi. You need him. You need everybody to be healthy, like on any team. But, and like you said, you're facing two scrub teams. I don't care if the Orlando Magic are what, 500?
Yeah.
They're not a good team.
Kawhi was playing that game.
He was playing that game. All right, well, against Chicago.
He wasn't playing. And he wasn't playing Atlanta, and he didn't play against Milwaukee, and the Raptors got sloshed in.
Shout out to Vince Carter for 25,000 points.
What an incredible number for him.
See, it's funny because everybody was tweeting about Vince Carter on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, did he finally retire? That's my first. That was my first. Yeah. But no, congrats. Definitely the best Raptor.
And the cool thing
actually, I don't know about
the cool thing is, he scored the basket with a second and a half left, and they're already getting smushed. But he wanted to get it, and he dunked.
And it was against the Raptors.
Exactly.
So meant to be. And
what a moment for Vince, and what a moment for either Raptor fans for the most part. Because as much as there was a lot of hatred from Raptor fans for years about Vince Carter,
which rightly so.
But in the end, you got to applaud the guy.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and
You
he's
can't hold the grudge.
arguably the greatest Raptor of all time.
But stats wise, it's DeRozan, and I think it is DeRozan over Vince Carter.
Right.
I think Vince Carter was more showy than DeRozan,
Big
obviously.
time. Yes.
But stats, points wise, and if you were to pick one franchise guy for the Raptors, other than Kawhi, because he's only been here for a couple games, it'd be DeRozan.
I do agree with you on
Yeah.
that. I really do. I would have been very intrigued to see what Vince Carter would have done if he was on this team for his entire career. But we'll never know.
Especially with Chris Bosh being him
And if
Chris
T-Mac stayed around,
those two together, man.
with eventually Chris Bosh, would have been incredible. Those three.
I think the main question would be what would happen if Chris Bosh was playing with DeMar, because DeMar was on the Raptors as a rookie when Chris Bosh was in his final year.
Yeah.
And then Chris Bosh obviously left. So I would love to see how those guys would have performed.
It would have been really interesting to see what they would have done.
But that's in the past, and the Raptors are off to their best start in franchise record still.
Yeah, it's 15-4.
15-4, and we just got to keep going, Raptor fans.
One game at a time, and with this crazy stretch coming up, you got to take it one game at a time. And the next game is against Washington at home on Friday night.
Let's talk about the Wizards. And apparently, everybody is on the trading block, including John Wall, Bradley Beal, and the rest of the guys there. Honestly, is this a freak out?
Yes, it is a freak out. Because you can't go. Like, you have arguably the best guards in the Eastern Conference. I'm not going to say they are.
Top 5.
Yeah, arguably.
Guards.
So I'm saying arguably.
Yeah.
And they were horrendous to start their year, but they've been half decent lately.
They beat the Clippers last night. Mind you, the Clippers did blow, or was this 2 games?
No, it was a 20-point lead. They blew it last night, and the Wizards won by 7.
I don't know how you can blow a lead like that, to be honest with you. But at the same time, they came back, and I think they have a really good core. It might be a coaching change. Who's the coach?
They won 3 in a row, by the way, before they lost 2 to Brooklyn and Portland.
Who's their coach?
Scott Brooks, the old Oklahoma City Thunder coach.
So pretty decent coach, but at the same time, you might need a coaching change if you continue to struggle. I don't think they should blow it up. They have a good team. They're going to make the playoffs, but this is another one of those teams where they're a first-round team.
Yeah.
They're like the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, really. In a sense, I mean, Indiana did run into LeBron James last year, but I mean, so did everybody in the Eastern Conference, really. But now he's not here, so it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a dogfight of a playoffs in the East this year.
And I hate playing against the Wizards.
I hate it too, because all they do is chirp. All they do is chirp. And last year, we're all here, and all the Raptors here we go. You know, we're just sweep them again from before the series from Wizard fans, and I'm like, the two teams are very different than when they were that year you guys swept us.
Yeah.
And then we go in there and we win in 6.
Yeah.
Win it in Washington, too, which was kind of sweet.
Yeah. No, it is sweet. But I think this is the freak out, and I don't believe any players are going to get traded.
No, I don't
The
believe
package
so.
would have to be immense. Apparently, the Lakers were talking about Bradley Beal, and I think the Charlotte Hornets were talking about with John Wall.
Really interesting to Charlotte.
Yeah.
With Kemba and
Kemba
there. That'd be really interesting.
And weren't the Hornets another team that was going through the same thing, I think, last year as the Wizards, where they were about to blow up everything?
Yeah.
And apparently, the package that was being sent back was Marvin Williams and Nicholas Batum. So, I mean...
No thanks. No thanks.
Sorry, it wasn't for John Wall, it was for Bradley Beal, but still.
The Bradley Beal is still a damn good
Marvin
player.
Williams is a good 6th man, all right?
And for me, Bradley Beal hasn't really done much on the road. Like, if I go back to that playoffs and I can kind of picture it, he was terrible on the road. So was Kelly Oubre. They were both horrendous on the road in Toronto. But then you go to Washington, they light it up. Well, this game on Friday night is at home. So the Raptors, with Kawhi in the lineup, better take it to these guys and show them what a true team looks like.
Yeah, because Washington is still a team. I get they're 6-11.
Right, but weren't they like 1-9 at one point? So they have kind of found themselves a little bit here. Still only 5 games under 500, dude. They go on a big winning streak. They face some easy teams, and then there you go.
I still can't believe the Clippers actually did
Blew
that.
a 20-point lead against a team like Washington. Yeah, I mean, ideally you could say it was in Washington, but
I don't care.
Who stepped up for them? I want to kind of see what happened there in that fourth quarter, or even the third and fourth. Where's the game?
Probably Otto Porter, because I think he's still underrated.
Was it yesterday?
No.
Oh,
it was the day before. That's why I said 2 days ago, I think.
John Wall had 30, Bradley Beal 27, Jeff Green had 20, Satoransky with 13, Marcus Morris. I don't even know which one that is. Marquise
That's
Morris.
was that the better one?
No. Otto Porter had 11 points, 14 boards.
Oh, they have JaVale McGee? Oh, no, they don't.
No, what happened to Dwight Howard? Is he still not playing?
Oh, he's injured.
He's inactive.
Oh,
glute. His butt hurts.
Really?
He's quite butthurt. Yeah.
See, now, if I was a hockey player, he would go out there and he would just, I don't care.
He'd fall on his butt left and right.
I don't care if my glute's sore or broken. Wait.
You break your butt?
It's just cartilage. So wait, maybe some cartilage. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways,
butt's like not aligned right or something.
So let's just look at the standings here quickly, and let's see who would be impressing us a little bit. Milwaukee.
They're not impressing us. They're doing what we
Well, let's just see who is impressing us. So we got Milwaukee at 13-4. You expect that. Philly, Jimmy Butler, man. Oh, and about the Markelle Fultz, he is. I don't think he's done for the year, but he's out like a month or something. Like, he's in rehab.
The thing I have with Philly, and I just looked at this. Philly is 10-0 at home, 3-7 on the road. That's a big split.
Yeah, that is a big split. I mean, mind you, they are undefeated at home, but you're 3-7 on the road.
Doesn't matter. You don't have a home court advantage playoff series. Looks like you're going to lose it.
Well, but they will. So
right, maybe in the first round, but you want to go all the way to the finals, don't you?
Yeah, true. But Jimmy Butler's looked amazing for them so far.
He only had 13 points yesterday on like 3 of
11 overall, he's looked good.
He's looked all right, yeah.
He's looked good.
I mean, I haven't really seen anything that jumps out. I think he hit a clutch shot for them a couple games ago. And if I'm going to Jimmy here in his games, I mean, he had 28 points against Utah, but other than that, really hasn't done a whole lot.
He hasn't, but obviously his minute. No, but he's starting, right?
Yeah.
I think being on a new team, having to learn the playbook, so it's going to take some time. I think he's going to break out if he hasn't done so already.
The team that's surprising me, the Charlotte Hornets at 9-8.
You expected them to be better or worse?
Worse. Look, Kemba's great,
yeah.
But I didn't expect him to be over 500. It's very, very early in the year. It's 15 games into.
I didn't even know Orlando was in a playoff spot. Boston's 9-9.
No, Boston. The Celtics are 9-9.
Yeah,
they've lost 3 straight since that win against the Raptors.
Yeah, the East.
I mean, you can't expect Kyrie to score you 43 a game.
Listen,
you can't expect that.
There's a huge drop off from Indiana to Detroit. I'm surprised. Or you know what? Detroit should be about 8th, but not 5th.
Right, at 8-7. I
no.
mean, it's because these top tier teams are so good. Like the Raptors are 15-4, Milwaukee's 13-4. You know, these teams are so good.
Yeah. And then just going down the list here, the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Washington probably. Miami,
I would assume Washington would do it.
Probably.
So, okay, if you have Washington and Miami in the playoffs, who do you take out? I mean, I think it's a pretty easy question to answer. You got Detroit, Charlotte, and Orlando in the playoffs right now. So
I take Orlando out. I keep Detroit in there.
And I take Charlotte out.
I would
Charlotte and Orlando out.
And I would put in.
You said Washington, Miami.
Definitely Washington. I don't think Miami.
What happened to your dark horse of New York?
I still think New York.
They're 5-14. They won their last game, but I think they were playing Cleveland. No, they were playing Boston in Boston, and they beat them. But
I don't know. I just think that the Wizards are too low, and I think it's a freak out by them. Now going to the West, which we don't really care about, but whatever.
Memphis is leading the conference at 12-5.
You surprised about how Golden State lost 4 straight?
I mean, it's the regular season, really.
Doesn't matter. You added DeMarcus Cousins.
He hasn't even played. He was in a suit when Draymond Green and Kevin Durant were fighting.
No, well, he's played. Is he hurt?
He hasn't played at all.
Torn Achilles.
He hasn't played at all.
Oh. Well, that's news to me. I don't even know if he's going to resign.
Okay, they were so good without him last year, so it's not like they need him in the lineup to be good.
Oh no, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
They were. They're struggling right now, and they're not shooting the ball that great, which is kind of weird. But
that is weird.
They're still the Golden State Warriors, and I'm not going to freak out at a 12-7.
I'm kind of surprised how Denver kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah, they had that red hot start to start the year. They're now 4-6 in their last, and they've won their last one. But they.
So if they're, mind you, it's November. We're 20-odd games in.
Oh yeah, I mean, remember when Houston was terrible and they were way out of a playoff spot? They're now in the 8th spot. They've won 5 straight. They're playing good ball, and that's what that. I mean, look.
So surprising not being in the playoffs.
San Antonio 8-9.
I expect that. San Antonio's fallen off.
You look at the Eastern Conference or the West. Who'd you say was Detroit was what 8-7?
Yeah.
10-8 are the Sacramento Kings and New Orleans Pelicans, and they aren't even in the playoffs.
I'm surprised about Minnesota. I don't care if you lose Jimmy Butler. You still have Cat. You still have Wiggins. You still have Jeff Teague.
I'm surprised about Utah 8-10.
Phoenix obviously is down there. We all know that. And going into this draft, what's this feller's name again?
DeAndre Ayton?
No, going into the draft, I mean. The guy who was supposed to go first
this year,
overall.
coming up.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson.
John Williamson is supposed to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
I would hate to see him on the Cleveland Cavaliers. More so Phoenix. No, sorry. I would like to see him on Phoenix, but he's an unbelievable player. So maybe these teams are obviously tanking for this player because he's supposed to be like a generational talent.
Oh, he's going to be something special. Him and RJ Barrett or something special.
RJ Barrett's like top 10 pick. Or maybe like...
I think he'd be top 5.
RJ Barrett?
Yeah, he's a damn good player.
It's
so early in the college season.
Well, you
so
know.
Hard to like...
Zion Williamson, though, man?
Oh, no, he's a freak. He's going to be a top-notch player. He'll probably be going... He's going top 5 for sure.
I would hate to see him on Cleveland, though.
I would, too. Another team that's surprising me, San Antonio. They get DeMar DeRozan. Look, I'm sorry, they didn't have Kawhi Leonard last year.
Who else do they have besides him and Aldridge? No one.
Well, they didn't have them either. They didn't have Kawhi at all last year.
I know, and they didn't make the playoff. Did they make the playoffs?
They did. They like the 7 or 8 seed.
No, I think everyone's getting old. Because other than Aldridge and DeRozan, who do they have? No one.
No, they really don't. They really don't. I'm actually gonna look at DeMar DeRozan's stats here. So he has dropped off. He's still great. But guys, we're all saying how DeMar DeRozan is playing great basketball. Look at that 3-point percentage, man. Under 20%. It's at 17%.
He wasn't looked at as
I know. But
at the same
to be that next step player, you got to be able to shoot the 3.
We knew that he wasn't going to be that.
Agreed. And then you look at Jakob Poeltl.
Okay.
I mean, he's averaging 3.4 a game in 10 minutes of work. He's not really getting much time. So you think about that trade now. You look back at it in mid-November. Poeltl hasn't done much for them.
Yeah.
DeRozan's been their best player, as expected.
Yeah, as expected.
But he hasn't been over the top showing everybody up that you shouldn't have traded me.
At the time, we weren't expecting him to absolutely be on the next level with San Antonio.
No.
I wasn't, but at the same time, I didn't expect him. He's not bad, but he's not the same DeRozan like he was on the Raptors.
No. He's still averaging 6 assists a game and 6 rebounds a game, which is pretty good. But again, he's the main guy on that team. So really.
And plus, the San Antonio Spurs, compared to the Raptors, without both superstars on the team, the Raptors are better.
Of course,
the Raptors are better than the Spurs.
Yeah.
So that
so
doesn't
then you
help.
look back to the trade. Kawhi Leonard has kind of matched DeMar DeRozan when it comes to the way he's played. And then you look at Danny Green. I mean, I think he's about throttled Jakob Poeltl pretty darn good.
Yeah. I mean, you are comparing a rookie to a guy who's established.
I agree, but I'm going off of the 1-for-1, and then the protected pick, obviously.
Which we don't know who's that going to be, so we can't say who won it unless that pick turns out to be someone like a Jimmy Butler, someone who's drafted late.
Right, and San Antonio has been good at that kind of stuff, drafting late guys. Yes. So you can't really put it past them. But right now, the Raptors are loving this deal, and they're 15-4, best start in franchise history.
So you got to go off something like that.
You really, really do.
So let's move on to the Blue Jays, and
I mean, what happened in the last week? I'm literally going to go on this app and go to the actual Jays page and see if there's anything to find here. Anything.
Live on the podcast. Do you want to
Angels
talk
and Brewers.
about the John Paxton thing?
James Paxton?
That was weird.
What, that thing was turned on by itself? Well, it was... ghostly activities here, people. So the Brewers and Angels are among teams interested in Jay Happ. So Jays fans kind of want him back there. I don't know what this is. Blue Jays tree route.
They're naming a subway station?
I'm not even going to do that. Actually, we can talk about Aledmus Diaz getting traded.
Yeah. Who else do you think is on the chopping block?
With him going, I think there's quite a few guys.
I'm shocked. See, I'm surprised.
I'm not, because I'll go through a bunch of names here. Actually, hold on. Let me bring something up here to... it might take me a little bit. But the Blue Jays, look, they have a ridiculous amount of infield depth. We all know what they got coming up in Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Mm-hmm. They have Bo Bichette coming up at some point.
Right.
They drafted 2 years ago Logan Warmoth in the first round. They drafted Jordan Grosjean's first round. Who else? Santiago Espinal, trade for Steve Pearce. I forgot some Forrest Wall, I think, or maybe I'm mistaken.
So you're getting a bunch of prospects.
All those guys that I've mentioned, along with Solarte as of right now, Devin Travis, possibly Troy Tulowitzki if there's any life left in him. All those guys that I've mentioned are in the middle of the infield at second base and shortstop.
So you have an amount
that's a ridiculous amount of infield.
So someone else,
and I totally forgot Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who put together some ridiculous seasons.
So you're gonna have other moves, obviously.
Yes, and I think Diaz. Look, it had to happen. You traded at his point of strength.
Yeah.
For what this team needed in pitching. Now, Trent Thornton is not a great pitcher. He's only 24, 25 years old. He's in AAA. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. He could be a guy to fight for the fifth spot in the rotation. He could be a guy who's going to fight for the bullpen spot this year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you had to trade Diaz. You had to trade, what's his face? Aledmus Diaz.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just trying to bring up the prospects here for the Jays because if I'm not mistaken, I said on the trade video that the Blue Jays, 4 of their top 10 prospects are in the middle, second base and shortstop. 4. Yeah. And it's not like all of them are going to pan out. Like, where else am I here? Kevin Smith, who's been fantastic. He's only 22 years old. He was in high A and he tore that up, so he'll probably be in double A next year. Mm-hmm. Jordan Groshans, Kevin Biggio as well. All those guys are within the top 10.
Yeah. Plus
the guys who are already on the team. I mean,
you have you have pieces. Yeah, no, exactly. And with the this is the first domino to fall.
Yeah, I do think so.
No, I don't think there's going to be any huge moves other than because this wasn't really a huge.
No,
it was a notable trade.
No, but I just don't like when people start saying that. Atkins spiral out again with terrible trade. Diaz was good last year. Okay, yeah.
Who's saying this? Oh, fans of the videos?
Yeah, well, not even just fans of the videos, fans of the Blue Jays. You know, you hear, oh, great, because they don't like Byron Atkins because they let Edwin go, they let Jose go, they let David Price go.
But they don't know the circumstances.
No, they don't.
Like
those are casual Jays fans that are thinking that. You also got to realize the Jays have a ridiculous amount of infield depth. So once Bo Bichette comes up, once Vladdy Guerrero Jr. comes up, where's Diaz going to actually play? Yeah. Is he going to be a backup? If that's the case, then you trade him and you get something. And they did. They got a pitcher, which this team does need pitching when it comes to depth, and they need some younger pitchers, and they got one. So, and he's a great, not so much, but you never know what can happen in a new scenery for him.
Yeah. So just going around the league now. Huge trade from the Mariners to the Yankees.
James Paxton, gone to the Yankees. And that trade is quite a...
Who'd you say won it?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm not too sure. Look, the Yankees had to give up their first overall prospect in Justice Sheffield. Now
that's in their farm system, not...
Right, but their number 1 prospect.
Which is big. Right, but maybe around... let's just say that their number 1 prospect in their farm system is 30th or 40th best in the whole league.
The Yankees have one of the better farm systems in the game, so no, Justice Sheffield is great.
But you're getting a very extremely established pitcher.
You're seeing a guy that has pitched 1 good year in the big leagues.
And we're going to see him a lot now.
He had pitched 1 good year in the big leagues. That's where I'm not... Look, they
him
traded...
being in New York, I mean, maybe he's going to...
1 good year in the big leagues for your first overall prospect and 2 or 3 other guys.
They don't know about the prospect, though. He could be a maybe.
No, well, agreed. But your first overall look, they didn't do that in the J Happ trade. They didn't do that in the Andrew McCutchen trade. They didn't do that in a lot of other deals. Yeah, they go after a guy who's established for 1 season in Seattle, a gigantic ballpark.
For a guy who's not even established. In the first overall pick.
But I also look at it, Sonny Gray has not worked for the New York Yankees.
No,
and I said this on the podcast when that trade dropped. It will not work. Why? Oakland, a huge stadium. Yeah. Nobody can hit home runs there except for the Oakland A's because they know where to hit them. Or Judge and Stanton because they're freaks. But other than those guys, nobody can hit home runs in Oakland. So yeah, the ERAs are going to go down for the pitchers. And then he goes to New York, a ballpark who is very small, and in left field, heck, I'm taller than the left field fence. Or right field fence, excuse me. Aaron Judge can put his hand in the 3rd row.
Would this happen in Old Yankee Stadium?
No. I don't know what it was like in the Old Yankee. I can't remember what it was like there. But all I know is that the Yankee Stadium is not a very big park, as all American League East parks are not. Tropicana is not big. Boston, look, the big monster, you hit a fly ball and it's going to leave the yard.
The big monster.
The green monster, whatever. And then on the right field line, there's a pesky pole. You slice it around there.
And then ours aren't.
Ours aren't big either.
No.
You know, and Baltimore's not a big park either. So you put Sonny Gray in that situation. He's terrible last year. He had never pitched an ERA over 3.5.
Okay, so just going to the Mariners park.
I'm just trying to explain this.
Isn't huge.
But it's not as big as Oakland's.
Well,
but it's still fairly big. Yeah. And now you're going to New York, where it's a big ballpark. It's a very small field.
So is it going to pan out? We don't know.
I don't know. I personally don't believe so because now he's in the American League East. He's going to have to be playing the Boston Red Sox a lot more than he was in Seattle.
Well, mind you, Sonny Gray's contract is up, so he's a free agent.
Actually, no, I don't think so.
Okay, well, J.A. Happ's gone, so they needed another pitcher.
They did.
They signed Sabathia
but the
again.
fact that they traded the first overall prospect is the one that I'm like, whoa. Now, I know there's been question marks about Sheffield and everything, but he's still your number one prospect. No matter what you
it's a question, and you don't know how good he is because he's, but...
I don't know what contract situation James Paxton is in. He might be at the end of his contract after this year, too. But knowing the Yankees, if he pitches well, they'll just re-sign him because they have the money to do so.
Yeah. But yeah,
I don't know if
it is risky.
I don't know.
It could pan out. It could not pan out for both teams.
He pitched one good year in Seattle, and now he's going to play in one of the smallest ballparks in the game. I mean...
And plus one of the biggest markets. The biggest market.
Right.
Maybe pressure's going to
be able to do it? I don't know.
Only time will tell, but with this trade, it's odd, but the Yankees needed more pitching.
Right.
So
they really did.
You kind of have to understand that. So going to the questions now, I guess we're just going to slide into there.
We'll go right into the questions. Let's just pulling them up here so we can get this puppy going here. Podcast question. We have 3 questions here. Or sorry, 2. Oh, no, 3 questions. So Kaz... 33-19. Who has the best line in the NHL? So that's a really interesting question.
Go Avs, go. Well, to be honest with you, you have McKinnon. Mikko Rantanen's still underrated.
Thank you very much. 2nd round pick. Thank you very much.
Yep. And so you have that.
And Landeskog as well.
Yeah, and Landeskog. But mainly those 2 guys. You obviously have Crosby. What was it? Crosby, Gensel, and somebody else on Pittsburgh. I don't know.
Maybe?
Something. There's been times where McDavid and Leandro Seidel are playing on the same line, so that could be the best line in hockey.
You could say Tavares, Marner, and Patrick Marleau.
You could say that.
But, I mean, in my eyes, personally, that is the top line in the NHL. That is ridiculous. Those numbers that they have are incredibly big.
Rantanen, especially Mikko Rantanen.
I think he's still leading the league in points, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's, I think, 6 points over, 6 points over a point per game. So, that just speaks for itself. Let me just go here quick. Oh, there's a football game going on now.
Not right now, is it? Oh, the Bears and Lions. What the heck's going on there right now?
Oh, well, it's Thanksgiving, actually. So that's probably why. Just go to NHL here quickly. You also have, like I said, Edmonton, Winnipeg. Kyle Connor, Scheifele, and Laine.
And who?
Laine.
And Laine?
Laine.
He's an interesting player there, Laine.
Yeah, just like Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. There he goes.
Boston.
See, there's the question. Is it Boston? See, that's a tough one. With Bergeron, Brad Marchand,
and
David Pastrnak.
I gotta say Boston.
Well, we see them more than we see these
Landeskog's not... He's good, but he's not amazing.
But then you have the other 2 that really pick up the slack pretty good.
I get it, but you have David Pastrnak. You have Brad Marchand, who can score 40 goals. And you have... Bergeron. And we saw they are killer. Yeah, they are killer.
If you find a way to control that line, you will win. You will beat the Boston Bruins. But it's just not easy. It's not easy to do so.
So, Kaz, I kind of agree with you on the Avs, but don't count out Boston at all.
I do agree 100% there. Roderick, what's going on, man? With the Diaz traded to the Astros, what do you think will be the next on the trade block for the Blue Jays? I think you do the same thing. I think you may be trying to look to move another infielder because you have a ton of them coming up. So you want to try and make some room for these younger players because that's clearly with that trade of Diaz, it's the way the Jays are going to go. They traded Diaz, so they want to try and play their younger players, and I think. Would Devin Travis be a guy to move? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not too sure.
It's hard to say, but more dominoes to fall.
I think it would be another middle infielder. I think outfield, they still need as much depth as they can for right now, but we're going to have to wait and see. Michael, why did the Rays just get rid of C.J. Cron? Also thoughts on the big Paxton deal. We already talked about that. And do you think the Leafs can finish the season with 0 in the 3rd column, which is overtime and shootout losses? So let's start out with the Rays trade of C.J. Cron. Look, I don't know if his contract is up after the end of next season or not. I'm not really sure.
Is that a big name?
He hit a lot of home runs.
Okay. kind of like a one wonder kind of thing.
That team they're in the stage of the Blue Jays where they want to play some younger players. Maybe he was picking up a spot that one of their younger players wanted or deserved, for that matter, or they saw somebody in free agency they wanted to go after. Look, we don't know what their scenario was. I don't know. CJ Cron is a good home run hitter, but I don't know. I mean, not really a big thing there. We already talked about the Paxton deal, and I don't think the Leafs will finish with zeros in the overtime and shootout losses column. Yeah. Look, 82 games is a long time. We're only, 22 games into the year or something like that? And, yeah, there's none, but
no.
Come on, you can't expect...
I don't think it's going to happen.
Look, the Leafs have been in, 5 or 6 overtime games? Yeah, they've won them all.
Last year, we had 13, I think, shootout losses /
You can't expect to not have one. There's going to be at least one.
Hey, if there isn't, it could happen.
If there isn't, you better have a lot of wins, because if you have losses, those are no points.
Exactly.
So that's the answers for all your questions.
Well, guys, Michael, thank you for. I guess this is episode 36.
36.
We're almost with 40.
Holy crud!
We
do this every damn video,
but it's so true.
Well, yeah.
And so, what we're probably gonna do, and I mentioned this to you during Christmas time, New Year's, whatever, we're gonna be doing, I guess, season 1, season 2, because we can't say, hey, this is Teal Sports like episode 325, and yes, it is gonna get there, folks.
Yeah, that would take a long time.
Season
to do
1,
that.
Season 2, I think that we're gonna do that.
Yeah, I think. How would we do that though? How are you gonna do that for the year? I guess. Like the start of a new year, like in January.
January, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we do that with our sports teams and stuff. That'd be kind of tricky.
January, exactly. I was thinking about doing it because we started this podcast late February. I think New Year.
Okay, so when January hits, we'll start
season 2, episode 1, which sounds good. Yeah, because like I said, you don't want to be episode 1,220.
As we're sitting in our in our wheelchairs at the old folks' home,
wheelchairs being like, remember when the Leafs won 3 cups
the
back
Leafs
when
they beat the Devils there today in New Jersey. Holy smokes there, bud. Hold on, I gotta take my pills. I mean, come on. We're not gonna... Typing up 1,000 and something, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Remember when the Leafs were a dynasty back when we were 23 years old?
What's his name, the young lad that used to play for the Leafs? Austin Matthews. Oh, yeah, good old kid. And what's he doing now? I don't know, he's been retired for 30 years. Okay, so, I mean, you never know.
And now we're last place.
Yeah. Back where it all started, eh?
Back where it all started. But no, guys, thank you. Yeah, so that's what we were thinking about doing.
I think it's probably a good thing. It's probably easier for people to see it, too.
And guys, send in your clips for the best stuff. We don't know if we should do it, but...
Hey, it's up to you. It's up to your guys' support. If you guys want it, you guys got to let us know.
Exactly, for some funny moments on this podcast, because there was a lot.
There's a few. There's me having my sneezing fits or whatever at some points in the videos. I mean, it's just... There's been a lot of funny moments.
Oh, a lot of funny moments, exactly. Yeah, so guys... Put down anything, what episode, the timestamp too, and we will edit it if you guys want it. But yeah, so guys, thank you for listening to episode 36 of the Teal Sports Talk podcast, and we'll be talking to you next Thursday.
Same time, same place, next week.
And you'll be talking
and I'll be talking to you guys, not tonight, day off for all of us. Because there's no Raptors don't play today, and the Leafs, there's no games at all on tonight. Nothing, no hockey at all.
Because it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, happy Thanksgiving to all of our American viewers.
And happy Thursday for all Canadians. So there you go. All right.
Happy Thursday, yeah.
So thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys Friday, Leafs and Raptors, as Raptors take on the Wizards, and Leafs are in Columbus take on the Blue Jackets for the second time in a week. And Evan and I will talk to you guys on Thursday afternoon. Normal time, normal place, as it'll be right near the Willie Nylander deadline. That'll probably be a hot topic on there.
A hot take.
It'll probably be a hot take on the podcast, guys. Just scorching hot. Just sweating, right? Anyways, Evan and I will talk to you guys next Thursday. Big Nylander discussion probably, and hopefully some positive news on the Raptors and Blue Jays. Who the heck knows what's going to happen with them over the next week, but we're going to have to wait and see. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you guys then.
Peace.